Well, hi everybody, thanks for joining me on this little ride out video. Let's shut the old visor down. I'm riding along the lovely country lanes of rural Wiltshire. I'm on the border of Gloucestershire and Oxfordshire at the moment as well, so pretty close to that. But I am still in Wiltshire. Done a few little mods to the Himalayan. It's now got the Lexmoto exhaust fitted, so it makes a nice thrapping sound. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up, but I will position the camera elsewhere on the bike later on as the ride continues to pick up some of the sounds. The harvest has been underway. Lots of the fields have been cut now. Some of them have been ploughed, so the season's turning on and we are moving into autumn. Anyway, before I continue any further, I'll just quickly go back to how I fitted this exhaust. I did film a little bit of that. It's a very simple fit, and so I'll go back to the clips I filmed on that, so you can have a look at that, and then we'll cut back to me on the bike. I've got this new end can exhaust to fit on my Royal Enfield Himalayan. It's made by a company called Lextech. It's slightly more free flowing, so it should release a little bit more power from the engine and sound a bit nicer. But first of all, we'll do a comparison with what the old exhaust sounds like. So this is the old exhaust, and about 1 metre away. Well, that's the new exhaust fitted, and there's the old one, and my word, that is really heavy. I'm not kidding, this is at least twice the weight of that. So anyway, let's start it up and see what it sounds like. Again, the camera's about 1 metre away. There is a baffle I can see you can take out. I'm not sure if I'm going to take it out or not, because I like the sound of that. It's not too bad, it's a muted sort of thud, so I think I'm quite happy with that. I think I'll leave it and see how it rides. I reckon it'll do 100 miles an hour now. Well, I did say we were on the borderlands of Gloucestershire and Oxfordshire. We're actually just coming into Oxfordshire now, and this is the you can see by the sign there, look, Oxfordshire. This is Coleshill, a little village which is on the side of a hill near the River Cole, hence the name Coleshill, I suppose. Anyway, it's a National Trust village, this. We'll go out through the village, and then up the other side there's an even steeper hill. Obviously there's a speed limit through here, so I can't open the throttle too much. But there's a steeper hill about a couple of miles beyond, and what I'll do, I'll mount the camera on the back of the bike, and hopefully you'll be able to pick up the sound of the motor as it is under load climbing the steeper hill. Well, I'm just approaching that steeper hill that I mentioned earlier, so whilst we're climbing up this there you see, what is it, 8% gradient. Whilst we're climbing the 8% gradient, we'll flick to the rear facing camera, where hopefully we'll get some of the audio. that picked up the audio coming up the hill quite well. Anyway, I find myself now at the Great Tithe Barn at Great Coxwell. I was going to go in there. I was even going to put the drone up, but it's not going to be possible. They're using it as a wedding venue. There's the guests, look. I must say, I think it's probably one of the nicest places you could ever wish if you wanted to get married. Well, we'll have to leave the wedding guests to their party. I think it's called a wedding breakfast. Check everything's secure. Yeah, I've been married for 34 years. Just had our anniversary actually, just a few weeks ago. So, just thinking about it, if I was ever to get married again, I keep the old wife for washing and cooking purposes. Anyway, this is the village of Great Coxwell. Let's take a little ride down through Great Coxwell and see what it's like. That's the end. That is the end of Great Coxwell. Although there's a bridle way down there. You can't ride motorcycles on bridle ways. It's got to be a byway. So that's out of question. We can't go down there. We'll have to go back. But I did notice another little lane off to the right as I was coming down called Puddle Duck Lane. So I've never been down there before. I think I'll go and explore that. Yeah, just here. This is Puddle Duck Lane, I believe. Puddle Duck Lane, a dead end by the looks of it. We'll have a little look. It's just a lane to a farmyard. Well, I did have a chat to the people back there, and it's Puddle Duck Lane is there's Puddle Duck Lane. It is a lane until you get past the houses, then it becomes a bridleway. So I thought better of it. I thought I'd better not go down there, turn around and come back. So we'll head on and see what else props up. Well, the village back there we were in, that was called Great Coxwell. So if there's a greater Coxwell, there's got to be a lesser Coxwell. Well, it just so happens the village down here on the right is known as Little Coxwell. This actually was where my grandparents used to live, and my mother grew up here. So let's have a look at Little Coxwell. Mum and Dad were married here, only 20 is plenty, so we better keep the speed down. Little Cotswold Pond just there. Grandad's house, I think, was that one of those up there, I think. There's the village pub. It's red phone box and post box. The church is up there. Apparently you've got to walk to it. Well, I come to a favourite little leafy lane of mine, close to where to a place I call home. So I was brought up in this area. On my formative years, I lived in two little villages very close by, and down here is a nice spot to stop. There's a railway line. It's a no-through road. It's just a nice, lovely, peaceful, leafy lane until, of course, a motorcycle with a loud exhaust comes hammering down. I'll get off the bike, have a little look round. The bike has now covered 8,592 miles with very little trouble, but I will talk about it, what I've had go wrong with it, and the little idiosyncrasies the bike has. So let's find somewhere to park up, and then I'll bring you back on the other camera. Well, just before I talk about the bike, I thought I'd just talk about my haircut. I mean, I don't know if it suits me or not. I don't know if I could do with a parting a bit further back, or maybe a centre parting, or maybe you know, maybe the sides could do with being a bit shorter and the top a bit longer. Anyway, yeah, low maintenance. That's the main thing. Anyway, the bike now covered almost 9,000 miles. Got a big adventure plan with it next year. I said this when I first got this bike. I said I was going to go to Sweden and I was going to do Norway and do all sorts, but it never happened because we had the lockdowns, etc. But I've now teamed up with a good friend of mine called Dickie. He's also got a Himalayan, and the two of us, we would like to do the Nordkapp next year. So that's what we're going to be doing, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan. Anyway, the bike. I'm quite happy with it, to be honest with you. I was a bit alarmed when I first got it because it rattled and it clattered, and I mentioned to other Himalayan owners, does your bike do this? And they all say, yeah, mine rattles, mine clatters. And they do. They are quite an agricultural engine. It's quite a noisy engine, mechanically noisy. But since I put this tank bag on, it's deadened the sound down, because obviously a lot of the sound I think is resonating through the tank, which is metal, and having the tank bag on top seems to have quietened the engine noises down. Also fitting a slightly louder exhaust also perhaps mutes, well, doesn't mute, but overwhelms the engine, the clatteriness of the engine. So if anyone's having difficulties with adjusting to the noise of the Himalayan, stick a big heavy tank bag on the top and that'll probably cure that. The other thing was front brake hose did split and was going to be an imminent failure, and this was repaired under warranty. I did do a video on the front brake hose, and I'll put a link up here in the top right hand corner if anyone wants to go and look at that. The other thing I'm picking up on, which could be a slight negative, is the spare parts availability. I'm hearing lots of stories of people having to wait quite a while to get spare parts for the bike, but I'm hearing that also for other makes and brands of bikes, so I don't think it's just Royal Enfield. It could be just a sign of the times we're going through at the moment. The rear tyre's due for replacement. I've done nearly 9,000 miles on the same chain, sprocket and rear tyre. So I'm going to have to get that replaced imminently. Probably got less than 1,000 miles life left on that. What else can I say about it? That's it really. It's not a fast bike. 75, 80 slight downhill with wind behind you to do 80, but comfortable cruising speed is 55 to 60. Anyway, I think that just about ties this video up. Anyway, leave a comment if you've got any questions, and I'll try and get back to you if I can. I'm thinking of something else. I'm sure to have forgotten something. Anyway, I think that's just about it. If I do, I'll stick it on the end of the video. So thanks for watching this one. I'll see you in the next one. The next video I do get out of Wiltshire. I'm not on the motorcycle though, but I'm going to another shire. Anyway, I hope you watch the video and find out where that is. And then after that, I am on a motorcycle tour somewhere away in the country. So that'll be probably in a fortnight's time. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.